Our ancestors dreamed of peace. But all we know now is war. One day my name shall echo through these valleys. How much blood has been spent? And yet unity is still so far from reach. Are we no better than the Han? Are we as savage as they say? Without unity, we will all fall. No. No surrender! No surrender! There will be one tribe! One king!
Tigers, vipers, crazy cat ladies, and a stampeding herd of 10,000 war elephants. There you have it, people. The Nan Man are coming to Total War 3 Kingdoms. They bring with them 4 new legendary lords and armies that bring the wrath of the jungle, Jumanji style. A roster that's unlike anything we've ever seen in a historical Total War game before. Probably because it's not actually all that historical. But if Creative Assembly were looking to drum up hype and get people's attention again after a quiet summer for 3K, all eyes on key, baby. Mission accomplished. Because on paper, this looks like the most interesting content drop for 3 Kingdoms by a country mile. It's not even close. Now, I'm not sure why they waited so long to finally take the plunge with these Southern Barbarians, considering how hotly they've been requested since day one, really. But better late than never, and with Gate Pass battles, a timeless character option where your favorite lords won't die of old age, a massive extension to the map, and a host of other quality of life changes they'll drop in as well, shaping up to be one of the biggest updates for 3K yet. So with the Furious Wild expansion pack, we'll have 4 new playable factions, 19 new homies joining the party down in the expanded southern portion of the map, 25 new units including the Pachyderm Parade, which is really the main reason people are going to buy this DLC anyway, right? To run over your enemies with elephant charges, making bacon pancakes all day long, new campaign mechanics, new playstyles, and new character progression to top it all off. But if you never played Dynasty Warriors or don't know much about the Romance period, you might have never heard of the Nan Man Tribes. Well, I got you covered. These were an ancient indigenous people of southern China, highly attuned to nature and considered barbarians by the Han. They came into conflict with their northern neighbors on many occasions during the Yellow Turban Rebellion in 179 AD and led their own uprisings in a famous series of battles against the Kingdom of Shu some 40 years later. It's a well-known story from the Romance period where in the span of a single week, the barbarian king Meng was captured 6 times by Zhuge Liang, and on his 7th capture, he swore eternal allegiance to the Kingdom of Shu. Playable at the start dates of 190 and 194 AD, you'll begin your playthrough as the Great Ox Meng, descendant of the fire god Lady Zhurong, King Shimoka, or King Mulu, each with their own unique start position, starting units, and mechanics. And if the trailer didn't already make it abundantly clear, this unit roster is a massive departure from the Han factions we already have in the game. I mean, it's popping off. Things are getting crazy. We got flaming maces, blowpipes, tiger warriors, slingers, at least 4 different flavors of elephant, and rattan wicker armor covering your heaviest warriors from head to toe. It's all going to combine for a rather exotic playstyle on the battlefield, and your campaign will be focused on uniting the tribes, forming a coalition through which you can invade the rest of China. Whether that be through diplomacy or outright conquest will be entirely up to you, which is one of the most attractive propositions that 3 Kingdoms provides. The fact that you don't have to necessarily just paint the map your color, you can do so through diplomacy because you know, it actually works in this game, which is kind of cool. But characters are really what drive the narrative and gameplay in 3K. So of the 4 new legendary lords taken to the field, Meng Huo is up first. And of the Nan Man, he's the one with by far the largest part to play in Romance of the Three Kingdoms. He is a fierce and stubborn ruler, loyal to his friends and merciless to his enemies, and his King of Kings mechanic means that when he takes control over another Nan Man faction, either through vassalizing, making an alliance, or destroying them, he gains stackable temporary bonuses that build on each other as you expand, creating a rolling momentum that lets him snowball completely out of control and gobble up vast swaths of southern China in short order. His unique units are the Nanzhong Champions, veteran sword and board bodyguard, Nanzhong Spearmen wearing heavy wicker armor, and Nanzhong Elephants, mighty beasts of war, dropping fat beats like Travis Barker on the drums. But they never found his killer, so he jumped about the grave like Michael Jackson in Thriller. They provide passive buffs to nearby units that can smash through enemy formations on the charge, exactly as you'd expect from a heavy war elephant unit. Kinda weird, honestly, that Meng Huo's ancestors were dreaming of piss and buttholes.
Peace. Butthole.
But you never know with the Nan Man. They're into some freaky stuff, I guess. Up next is his wife, Lady Zhurong, a descendant of the fire god, quite literally taking the name of the deity for herself. She wields the flames of war with the goddess of fire mechanic, allowing her to build towards an unstoppable, frenzied crescendo with her warriors on the battlefield. And depending on what season you activate this wildfire bonus, the effects will change, lasting for a number of turns until it fades away and is placed on cooldown. Once this wildfire is burned out, Lady Zhurong is vulnerable for a short period and will need to recover before she can fight again without weakness, so time your expansion wisely. This line is kind of vague, honestly, not sure exactly what it means, but it sounds almost like a Greenskin's Wa, except instead of extra troops flocking to your banner, the ones who are already allied with you get a hell of a lot stronger, then become temporarily weakened once the effect wears off. Sounds kind of interesting. So you'll have expansion in short bursts, and then a little bit of downtime before you expand once again. For unique units, she has Tiger Warriors and Tiger Slayers, axe-wielding and rock-sniping soldiers accompanied by massive vicious cats, and followers of the Flame, two-handed shock troops with some nasty two-face burns, and scorching maces that deal damage over time. Jumping pretty far into the fantasy element here, I must say. I don't recall the Thundercats unleashing Chitara and El Tigre against the unwashed Han masses at this point in history, but then again, I'm no expert on the Three Kingdoms period, and maybe they did indeed tame packs of South Chinese tigers to devour their foes. Interesting design decision. I don't hate it, honestly. Unit variety's been sorely lacking in Three Kingdoms since launch, so elephants and tigers should spice things up very nicely, but if you're looking for pure historicity, Tiger Warriors aren't exactly going to help convince you that 3K is a true historical Total War game. To the south and east of our first two barbarian warlords march the armies of King Mulu, crashing through the dense jungle canopy, and he is the most attuned of the 4 playable Nan Man characters to nature, with big bonuses to elephants and easy recruitment of them. His pride and ritual mechanic grants him lucrative buffs like increased unit cap and decreased upkeep and recruitment cost for animal units like Elephant Herd, and when completing objectives, you can invoke spiritual rites that allow you to choose between different sets of buffs and debuffs that most closely align with what you're trying to accomplish in your campaign at any given time. So if you're trying to expand, growth and casualty replenishment will probably be pretty damn useful. His unique units are the Southern Elephants ridden by Slinger Snipers, War Elephants, a more heavily armored elephant unit used best to charge into enemies, also accompanied by Slingers, and Ravine Warriors, frontline dual wielders meant to quickly follow the impact of their elephant buddies. So basically, if you want to party with pachyderms, King Mulu is the guy for you. And finally, the 4th legendary lord is King Shimoka, ruler of the 5 valleys. He begins his campaign already with several tribes under his control, but he must balance the allegiance of them and his people to the interest of the Han Empire that have already shown a bunch of interest in swaying him to their cause. His unique mechanic is the Unification Mandate, granting different bonuses depending on how he chooses to unify his burgeoning empire, through conquest, vassalization, reform, or diplomacy. He has a bunch of different choices for expansion, and seems like he'll be the most diplomatic of the bunch. And his unique units are the Might of the Valley, fast two-handed flankers that become even more dangerous when near death, gaining large buffs to their killing potential, the Wuling Slingers, immune to terrain effects and ideal for skirmishing in dense jungle, and the Wuling Fighters, the tankiest Nan Man infantry in the game, best used for grinding down enemy champions. And on top of that, looks like the Han Empire is beginning to channel the Dawi of the Kara's Angkor. There's a new flame cannon unit for them. Looks like it spews napalm over a short distance. Best used with trenches or blockade placed in front to slow down an enemy's approach, and I imagine if you get hit by that, it's going to be pretty nasty. Devastating even. And there are actual burn effects in 3K as well, so probably going to be incredibly satisfying to use and emulate huge swaths of enemy formations. Now, the FLC Lord coming with this update is Su She, an Imperial character completely isolated from the capital and surrounded by barbarians far in the south. He carved out a remote empire of trade and learning for himself in the southern jungles in what is now modern-day North Vietnam. His unique mechanic is basically nepotism, generating chests and unique currency that improve the diplomatic abilities, battlefield prowess, and campaign effects of family members appointed to court positions. So, my thoughts on what we've seen from the trailer and the Steam page up to this point. Nan Man are without a doubt the most anticipated content drop we've had for Three Kingdoms since launch, really. And on a service level, it's not hard to see why. A lot of flavor and unique content going on here. Probably the best unit variety we'll be seeing during the romance period in general. It surprisingly didn't come earlier. They didn't strike while the iron was hot and 3K was still fresh in people's minds. Financially, I have no idea how well 8 Princes did, but that should have been a can kicked well down the road if it ever came at all. Very strange decision to spend so much time building on a campaign that didn't connect to anything that built off of the main game. Basically, the Wood Elves and Beastmen mini-campaigns all over again. If you remember, the big issue that we had with those was that they did not affect mortal empires or what would be building between Warhammer 1, 2, and 3 in any way, shape, or form. Same thing here. Mortal empires should be the blueprint for every major historical release moving forward. It's all about building a strong campaign foundation, then iterating and improving on it for years to come. So when you take a time period that has absolutely nothing to do with the romance of the Three Kingdoms, you lose a lot of momentum and time that would have been better served working on what's already there, improving on what's already there. And the Nan Man should be a massive improvement to the southern reaches of this campaign map, an area that was functionally devoid of interesting gameplay or enemies to fight at all. There's nothing going on down there. It's basically just Sun Jian. So it's nice that we're going to have a different threat rising from this area of the map. The Nanzhong campaign is going to be bananas, straight up, for any of the lords starting down in the south portion of China. And if the description of these factions is anything to go by, I'm expecting almost a greenskin level threat in terms of confederation and snowball potential. I think they're going to gobble up a hell of a lot of territory real quick and put intense pressure on the Han Empire if they aren't dealt with early. Elephants are always dope. I've loved them since they were first included in a Total War game. War Tigers are a little stupid, but in a charming kind of way. I'm actually kind of hyped for them. It doesn't sound historically accurate at all, obviously, but I think it kind of is like a full unit of handheld Greek flamethrowers or brutally effective camel gunners in Medieval 2. It's not particularly realistic, but it does a lot for unit variety, which is an element 3K has struggled with mightily over the last year or so. At this point, I'm half expecting to see Panda riding shock troops in the next DLC, and if I'm being completely honest, I actually wouldn't be too upset about that either, but I don't actually think that's going to happen. We're definitely treading on some interesting ground here, pushing that envelope well past where historical purists would like to see it taken, I think, and it'll be curious to see where CA decides to go from here. You can't get a whole lot more fantasy in a quote-unquote historical game than Tiger Warriors. They're pretty insane. Now, I can say I already have the DLC and can actually show up gameplay for it tomorrow, so that is the game plan as it stands currently, but I want to know, what do you guys think of the Furious Wild Nan Man DLC reveal? What are you looking forward to most? What sounds good? What sounds bad? And what would you like to see next? Hope you guys enjoyed the reveal, and I'll see you all in the next video. Indie Pride, signing out for now. Have a good one, guys.